Good evening, viewers, and welcome to Hornbill TV's Prime Time. This is your anchor, Kekrizanya Solo. First, the headlines. US President Donald Trump announced sweeping reciprocal tariffs on the trading partners of the world's largest economy on April 2 and announced a 26% reciprocal tariff on India after raid of India imposes on US imports. India will review and assess the impact of reciprocal tariffs, said Union Minister of State for Finance Pankaj Chaudhary on Thursday, reacting to the 27% tariffs of Indian export to the US. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen on Thursday described US Donald Trump's universal tariffs as a major blow to the world economy, adding that the European Union was prepared to respond with countermeasures if talks with Washington failed. A two-seater Jaguar aircraft on the Indian Air Force IAF crashed during a night mission shortly after taking off from Jamnagar airfield on Wednesday. One of the pilots tragically succumbed to injuries, according to latest updates. Those were the top headlines, and now for the news in details. First off, all the 33 sitting judges of the Supreme Court have agreed to disclose their assets to the public by publishing the same on the top court's website. The decision was taken at a full court meeting held on April 1. A resolution in this regard was adopted and will apply to future judges as well. The decision was taken in wake of recent controversies surrounding opacity in the functioning of the judiciary, especially after a huge pile of cash was allegedly discovered at the residence of Justice Yashwant Verma, currently a judge of the Allahabad High Court. The publication of assets on website was not mandatory earlier but was discretionary, subject to whether an individual judge wanted to do the same.
I welcome the decision of judges of Supreme Court when they have decided to disclose their assets, and they will upload on the official website of Supreme Court. This will increase the confidence of the people because it was a little bit eroded due to the incident happened in the presence of one judge of the Delhi High Court. And I also expect that the judges of High Courts will also follow this, and people will have the highest regard in the judiciary, and nobody can allege that they have made properties or assets by illegal means. मैं चीफ जस्टिस ऑफ इंडिया जस्टिस खन्ना, जस्टिस गवई, जस्टिस सूर्यकांत एवं अन्य जजेज का धन्यवाद करता हूं कि उन्होंने ये डिसीजन लिया कि अपने एसेट्स को जो है वो पब्लिक करेंगे और वो एसेट्स की लिस्ट जो है सुप्रीम कोर्ट की ऑफिशियल वेबसाइट पे आएगी। 1997 में भी पहले इस तरीके का डिसीजन हुआ पर वो इम्प्लीमेंट नहीं हुआ। आज ये जो जजेज हैं, कॉलेजियम हैं, उन्होंने बहुत अच्छे स्टेप्स लिए। जजेज के अपॉइंटमेंट के अंदर भी इंटरव्यू ले रहे हैं और मैं ये एक्सपेक्ट करता हूं कि जजेज ऑफ हाई कोर्ट भी ये इस चीज को फॉलो करेंगे ताकि जनता का विश्वास हमारी न्यायपालिका में बढ़े।
A tragic fire has left a family in Cachar district, West Islamabad, completely homeless. On Wednesday night, a devastating blaze engulfed a new-built tinned and bamboo house belonging to Rahim Uddin, reducing it to ashes along with essential belongings and documents. The fire broke out around 7:30 p.m. local time under mysterious circumstances, and due to the remote location, a lack of water source, the flames could not be controlled. Despite villagers rushing to scene, they could only watch helplessly as the house burned down. Rahim Uddin, who had just moved with his wife and children on the same day, suspects foul play as there was no electricity or cooking fire in the house. He believes the fire may have been deliberately set due to personal enmity. Now, the destitute family is pleading for government assistance, while local residents urge authorities to step in.
রহিমউদ্দিন বাড়ি কোন হলো আসলো দাম তোর আগে আফইলা আসলো আর দাম ধরো বাজে গেছে আমার ওদের বড় দামতে জমি দিয়েছে নেতামর হল ওখানে চান বড় করো কোনো ঘর বাজে আর ঘর বানাইয়া টিনের সানি দিয়া ঘর ওখানে রইছে আর তান কইন আমার ঘর সারা আমি ভাড়া দিতাম নেতামর হল ও আজকে গাড়ি নিয়ে গিয়া দুই গাড়ি মাল সারা লইয়া আইয়া মুড়িবার আদান সময় আমি আইছি না গেছি না অন্তনি দৌড়ে গিয়ে আদান দিছি অন্তর আদান মা দৌড়িছি নোয়া ঘটিয়া ভারী করে নিয়ে গেছে আমার মোবাইল ঠিক করিতে ও ঠিক করে যে আমি রবিজুল দক্ষিণদারে লইয়া গেছে ও রাখিবর দোকানও আমার ভিডিও করেছে বাজার দু একবার আনিত আমার সালেন্দারে বিয়া নিত রান দিতাম তো আমি হবাই গেছি আর রবিজুলে ভাই দিয়েছি তাহলে গোফরাস লইছি শুনিও বা ছবি আসলি তোমার ঘুরি করে আগুন তৈরি দিয়েছি এখন সিলিন্ডার সিলিন্ডার খালি ওই ওগু বর্ষা করে রাখিবর নিয়ে গেছি গ্যাস নিলে ওগু নিয়া দিতাম গ্যাস আনতাম আগুন লাগছে কিভাবে না না বড়াই গইন আইছেন না না.
Heading on to the next news, US President Donald Trump announced sweeping reciprocal tariffs on the trading partners of the world's largest economy on April 2. Trump's Liberation Day announcements had no country-specific exclusions as he announced new tariff rates for more than 180 countries. Apart from country-specific tariffs, Trump also announced the imposition of a 10% baseline tariff. However, the imposed reciprocal tariffs at only half the rate other countries charge on US products, and still this was enough to unsettle the market, as Dow Jones futures tumbled more than 1.5% after the tariff announcement. He announced a 26% reciprocal tariff on India, half the rate India imposes on the US imports. Besides, Trump announced a 25% tariff on automobile imports to the country, which is likely to impact auto stocks such as Tata Motors and Samvardhana Motherson. Trump's tariffs could trigger an immediate negative reaction as reflected in Gift Nifty's 1.5% drop. Sectors like IT and automobile may face selling pressures, but in the medium to long term, the market is likely to absorb the impact. However, experts point out that Trump's tariffs may not have a significant negative impact on the economy, which is a comforting factor for the domestic market. In response to the United States imposition of a 26% reciprocal tariff on Indian goods, Sanjay Nair, president of Associated Chambers of Commerce and Industry of India, weighed in on the potential economic impact and the opportunities of India to adapt to the new trade landscape. While acknowledging that the tariff increase appears steep, Nair remained optimistic, emphasizing that the impact may not be as severe as initially perceived.
46%, we're charging them 24%. India, very, very tough, very, very tough. The Prime Minister just left, and he's a great friend of mine, but I said, you're a friend of mine, but you're not treating us right. They charge us 52%. You have to understand, we charge them almost nothing for years and years and decades. And it was only 7 years ago when I came in, we started with China in charge, and we took in hundreds of billions of dollars from China in tariffs. And they understood, honestly. President Xi understood. He said, look, I understand. And the other countries, and they all understand. We're going to have to go through a little tough love, maybe, but they all understand. They're ripping us off, and they understood it. Prime Minister of Japan, Shinzo Abe. He was a fantastic man. He was unfortunately taken from us, assassination. But I went to him and I said, Shinzo, we have to do something. Trade is not fair. He said, I know that. And he was a great gentleman. He was a fantastic man, but he understood immediately what I was talking about. I said, Shinzo, we have to do something. He said, I know that. And we worked out a deal, and it would have been a much better deal, but frankly, there were many years left on the deal that was made previous to my getting there, but it was something. If you look at Switzerland, 61% to 31%.
26% tariff has been imposed from which will come into effect on 9th April. What is your first reaction on this US tariff?
I mean, obviously very early reactions. I'm sure we'll hear from the government as well. I think early assessment is, look, firstly, our domestic economy is very large and in pretty good shape, right? So I think first and foremost, there is a kind of a buffer because we have a large domestic economy which absorbs obviously a lot of the production. I think looking at the tariffs, we are somewhere in the middle. I don't think we are as badly impacted. The numbers obviously look, 26 looks quite steep in addition to the 10. But when you look at it relative to other Southeast Asian and Chinese tariffs, then obviously it looks better. So I think there will be major realignment of even intra-Asia trade. There will be major alignment in supply chains. It'll all take time, that's for sure. But general view is that, and given that pharma is exempt and, I think, and IT, of course, is not impacted, IT services. So, we would be relatively less impacted, and I think it's also incumbent upon our industry now to up the game on efficiency. The country as a whole, of course, has to also increase efficiency, which is happening thanks to the efforts on logistics and power costs, but it'll take time. And finally, I think, industry at a level will have to think about margins as well, because it's not going to be an easy pass-through here. And the reason is that America is a huge market. So, you cannot abdicate the market. You have to go there. So I think that's really it. And my final comment is that India will have to think how to give US much bigger access to our market. I think ultimately US needs our market as well, which is a very huge market. So I'm sure those negotiations are ongoing, will probably step up. And I think hopefully we'll end up somewhere in a better situation than where we are, but initial views are we are less impacted relative to others. So that's really what it is.
There was on hiking reciprocal tariff. Will now take a short break.
अपनी लाइफ दी कुन ब्राजिदे मुन ना दिमाग बरा कोय चोली उठिना एक्सरसाइज करबी हलिबी मुन बरा कोय आरो अलप लम्बा कमाबे आरो इदिया दिमाग बरा कोय आसे कि दिल कम दि खाबी अपनी जिंदा থাকিব हलिबी मुन न माने अंकल होताय पराठा खाय हलिबी एकु নহয় दिमाग खाली दे किबा एकटा होले हे बदले हो नागे आरो इदो एक्स्ट्रा निमक किले मुन बरा कोय एक्स्ट्रा निमक नहिले खाबले की दिमाग बरा कोय खाली एकटा बीमार होय गेना एको खाबले न पारले तो की लाभ आधा लादो हलिबी इनि खाबी हलिबी मन मांगि थाके खाइली तो पूरा ही एदो बरा भाबिबी निजर लाइफ दि हटाय दिन हटाय सेकेंड कोन जिदिबो ভাল हेल्थ होबले मन बरा बेसी दिमाग चलबले लागे आजिबरा खाना दे चिनी निमक आरो तेल कम दि करिबो
Welcome back. Heading on to the next news. India will review and assess the impact of reciprocal tariffs, said Union Minister of State Finance Pankaj Chaudhary on Thursday, reacting to the 27% tariffs on Indian export to the US. Talking to reporters in the national capital, New Delhi, Union Minister of State for Finance Pankaj Chaudhary said, for Donald Trump, it's America first, and for Modi, it's India first. On April 2, US President Trump announced a widespread imposition of tariffs on countries worldwide. Under the imposed tariffs, goods from India will face a 27% tariff on steel, aluminium and auto-related goods and no tariffs on pharmaceuticals, semiconductors, copper or energy products. According to experts, the tariffs imposed on Indian goods exported to the US present a dual-edged scenario for India's manufacturing sector.
कवर किया जाए पेंशन के रूप में भी और कह लीजिए कि बीमा के रूप में भी, इंश्योरेंस के रूप में भी हर व्यक्ति को कैसे कवर किया जाए, इसके लिए सरकार काम कर रही है। आज के इस कॉन्फ्रेंस में देश विदेश से सभी शोधकर्ता यहाँ उपस्थित हुए हैं। निश्चित तौर से कुछ नई चीजें निकल करके यहाँ से आएंगी, उस पर फिर हम लोग विचार करेंगे।
यूएस ने जो 26% टैरिफ लगाया सर, उसको किस तरह से आप देखते हैं?
देखिए, यूएस का काम है, उनका अमेरिका फर्स्ट है, ट्रम्प साहब का, तो मोदी जी के लिए इंडिया फर्स्ट है। अब उसकी हम लोग समीक्षा करेंगे, फिर क्या उसका असर पड़ेगा, कैसे उससे निपटना देखा जाएगा।
सर, भारत का हर नागरिक कब तक पेंशन योजना के अंतर्गत आ जाएगा?
प्रयास है कि जल्द से जल्द लोगों को लाया जाए।
और सर, आगे की रणनीति गवर्नमेंट की क्या होगी?
अब जरा टैरिफ देखा जाए, उसको फिर विचार किया जाए, फिर देखा जाएगा क्या करना होगा।
Earlier industry body Association President Sanjay Nair said that India would be less impacted and the industry would now need to game up on efficiency. He said that the tariff number looks steep, but relative to other Southeast Asian countries, it looks better. Given that pharma is exempt, it would be relatively less impacted, and India will have to think about how to give the US much bigger access to its market as well.
Reactions, I'm sure we'll hear from the government as well. I think early assessment is, look, firstly, our domestic economy is very large and in pretty good shape, right? So I think first and foremost, there is a kind of a buffer because we have a large domestic economy which absorbs obviously a lot of the production. I think looking at the tariffs, we are somewhere in the middle. I don't think we are as badly impacted. The numbers obviously look, 26 looks quite steep in addition to the 10. But when you look at it relative to other Southeast Asian and Chinese tariffs, then obviously it looks better. So I think there will be major realignment of even intra-Asia trade. There will be major alignment in supply chains. It'll all take time, that's for sure. But general view is that, and given that pharma is exempt and, I think, and IT of course is not impacted, IT services. So, we would be relatively less impacted, and I think it's also incumbent upon our industry now to up the game on efficiency. The country as a whole, of course, has to also increase efficiency, which is happening thanks to the efforts on logistics and power costs, but it'll take time. And finally, I think, industry at a level will have to think about margins as well, because it's not going to be an easy pass-through here. And the reason is that America is a huge market. So, you cannot abdicate the market. You have to go there. So, I think that's really it. And my final comment is that India will have to think how to give US much bigger access to our market. I think ultimately US needs our market as well, which is a very huge market. So I'm sure those negotiations are ongoing, will probably step up. And I think hopefully we'll end up somewhere in a better situation than where we are, but initial views are we are less impacted relative to others. So that's really what it is.
European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen on Thursday described US Donald Trump's universal tariffs as a major blow to the world economy, adding that the European Union was prepared to respond with countermeasure if talks with Washington failed. Trump on Wednesday, April 2, unveiled a 10% minimum tariff on most goods imported to the United States, with a higher 20% rate for the European Union. Kicking into a high gear and a global trade war that threatens to drive up inflation and stall U.S. and worldwide economic growth, she said in a statement read out in Uzbek city Samarkand on Thursday, ahead of a EU Central Asia Partnership Summit. She also added that the EU plans to impose counter tariffs on up to 26 billion euros of U.S. goods this month in response to U.S. steel and aluminium tariffs that took effect on March 12. Leyen said she deeply regretted the U.S. move and warned of immense consequences for the global economy, including vulnerable countries facing some of the highest U.S. tariffs.
Announcement of universal tariffs on the whole world, including the European Union, is a major blow to the world economy. I deeply regret this choice. Let's be clear-eyed about the immense consequences. The global economy will massively suffer. Uncertainty will spiral and trigger the rise of further protectionism. The tariffs will also hurt consumers around the world. It will be felt immediately. Millions of citizens will face higher grocery bills. Medication will cost more, as well as transportation. Inflation will go up. And this is hurting in particular the most vulnerable citizens. All businesses, big and small, will suffer from day one. From greater uncertainty to the disruption of supply chains, to burdensome bureaucracy, the costs of doing business with the United States will drastically increase. And what is more, there seems to be no order in the disorder, no clear path through the complexity and chaos that is being created as all US trading partners are hit. I agree with President Trump that others are taking unfair advantage of the current rules, and I'm ready to support any efforts to make the global trading system fit for the realities of the global economy. But I also want to be clear. Reaching for tariffs as your first and last tool will not fix it. We have always been ready to negotiate with the United States to remove the remaining barriers to transatlantic trade. At the same time, we are prepared to respond. We are already finalizing the first package of countermeasures in response to tariffs on steel. And we're now preparing for further countermeasures to protect our interests and our businesses if negotiations fail. I know that many of you feel let down by our oldest ally. Yes, we must brace for the impact that this will inevitably have. Europe has everything it needs to make it through the storm. We are in this together. If you take on one of us, you take on all of us. So we will stand together and stand up for each other. Our unity is our strength.
A two-seater Jaguar aircraft of the Indian force crashed during a night mission shortly after taking off from Jamnagar airfield. According to the statement by IAF Media Coordination Center on X, previously known as Twitter, the pilots encountered a technical malfunction mid-flight and ejected to avoid damage to the airfield and nearby populated areas. The IAF further stated that one of the pilots tragically succumbed to his injuries and sustained during the ejection, while the second pilot is undergoing treatment at a hospital in Jamnagar. Meanwhile, a court of inquiry has been ordered by the IAF to investigate the cause of accident and determine the circumstances leading to the technical failure. Earlier on March 7, a Jaguar firefighter aircraft crashed near Ambala, Haryana, with the pilot ejecting safely, IAF officials said.
Last night, Indian Air Force airplane got crashed in Jamnagar, and a pilot was brought to GG Hospital Trauma Center. He was treated for fracture in leg, and the team from orthopedic surgery trauma unit was there to settle him and take care of his needs of injuries. Later, he was investigated for radiology by radiology department for CT, MRI, and he is stable and out of any danger. There is a message that there will be a pilot has lost his life and he shall be brought for further procedure as per guidelines. There may be a PM placed as soon as they arrive.
Those are all the updates for now. Stay tuned for more and keep watching Hornbill TV.